This movie would have actually been better if they just focused on the dog and the boy and their relationship. That's, I think, what most people expected when they went into the theater or actually decided to watch this film. That's not what this film really is about. So, Max is supposed to be the story of a dog dealing with post-traumatic stress. What happens is Max is a war dog. He's with his owner and they're a team together. He sniffs out bombs and weapons. Well, one fateful day, his owner gets killed. So the dog gets really depressed and it's really angry and it's dealing with post-traumatic stress. He's gone so crazy that they plan to put him down. But the remaining family of the owner that died, they want to keep Max, and Max seems to have a bond with the younger brother. That's what this movie could have been about. It kind of is for only the first 50 minutes of the movie. Problem is, the movie is an hour and 50 minutes long. So what's the rest of the movie about? Trying to find out who's responsible for killing the brother. Okay, listen, Max is an okay movie. I can see plenty of people thinking, oh, this is good, this is great. For me, it's just, there's just so much wrong with it, in my opinion. What really works with the movie is the bond with the dog and the younger brother. A lot of that stuff is really good and probably the best part of the entire movie. It's what the movie should have probably been all about. There's some scenes that, in the right eyes, could be really powerful. One of the parts that I thought legitimately was powerful for me was the scene where the older brother it's the funeral and they let the dog come and the dog is scratching and scrambling to try to get to the coffin and he's really whining and just really upset, and then he lays down by the casket. That was really moving and powerful. The dog was probably the best actor in the entire film. Yeah, the dog was the best actor for sure. You're probably thinking, well, they can't make a whole movie just about a boy and his dog. There's got to be something more to it. I mean, they spend 50 minutes on that alone, right? So there's got to be more to it. Well, they probably could have spent a lot more than 50 minutes because the 50 minutes we get isn't the full 50 minutes, but the 50 minutes roughly 50 minutes we get still feels a little rushed, and the dog himself gets a little bit better too fast, I think. It could have been slowed down. It could have been more of a struggle. It could have been a struggle where the kid is actually trying to calm the dog down. You get a little bit of that, but not to a fully developed way. So they could have easily made an hour or an hour and 20 minutes of this. They could have filled in the rest of the movie with the dog actually being in Iraq with the owner, because then we'd actually get attached to the owner, and so when he dies, we feel sadder for Max and sad for the person who's dead. We don't get that though. We get about 10 minutes of that and then he's dead. And so instead, it becomes a bit of a Scooby-Doo-ish as these kids are trying to figure out this mystery of this other soldier who comes back saying that he was a friend of the dead brother. And we uncover the mystery of he's doing some really shady things and maybe he's responsible for the brother's death, which we already know. It feels like one of those books where kids are solving a mystery. I can't think of some really good ones, but it feels like that, just done poorly and really cliched. I think that's what the film feels like. It feels like one big cliche, and if you think, oh, it's completely original, it's different. Here's the reason. It feels like all the cliches of 3 different movies, so it almost makes it feel original because it's 3 mixed up into one, but if you look at it, it's just the cliched versions of those 3 things. Those 3 things being a boy and his dog, or that kind of genre, that kind of story where a boy is befriending a dog, children solving mysteries, a Marine coming back to his hometown only to uncover some sort of crime and try to stop it, this time the Marine being the dog. And let me tell you about the villains. Completely incompetent. Now, they kind of have to be because it's kids solving it, but because the movie takes itself so seriously, you don't get that fun adventure. You get something that's trying to be serious, but then it just makes it so wrong when the bad guys are just so dumb. Like, it works in Home Alone because it's a comedy, it's a family film. They're supposed to be idiots. In this one, it takes itself seriously. They're supposed to be a serious threat, but then they're getting defeated by kids on bikes and a dog when they have guns and shotguns. I'm not kidding you. The last bit of the movie, there's 3 bad guys, 2 pistols, a shotgun, and a pit bull. That's the bad guy's side. The good guy's side, 3 kids, 1 dog, 2 bikes. That's it. Oh, and a hostage that used to be a soldier who is being held hostage by the bad guys, which the bad guys could have easily just shot and buried him because they're out in the middle of nowhere. They didn't even have to bring him and keep him hostage. They could have just shot him, but no, the movie's like, no, we got to keep this person alive so they can help the conflicts. So because the script says so, you can't kill him. Yeah, there's plenty of things like that I'm really upset with this movie. Oh God, and then the kid is the most cliched, troubled teen you can think of. Father is the cliched, authoritative, very strict father that ultimately is just being strict because they know that their son can do better and they love their son. And to be quite honest, he seems like a bit of a racist and a very pro-military guy. And the dialogue from this film, a lot of it is just so poorly written. Like, so bad that it just makes me embarrassed. Especially the funny kid in the group. All his jokes are really lame, and he feels like the... Oh my God. He feels like the one Mexican or Hispanic character in Jack and Jill. You know, the one that jokes about his race, but he's like, I'm just kidding every time. That's what the kid feels like because he makes racial jokes about his own race and heritage, and then he's just... But except he doesn't say the just kidding at the end. And this might also be a nitpicky thing. I might have misunderstood this in the film because I was kind of bored, quite frankly. But in the film, the troubled teen, the kid, the main guy, he's sort of... No, he is. He's pirating video games to sell to some pretty shady people. It seems like he's getting games before they're released to download and to sell. What doesn't really make sense, though, is the price. Like, the guy that wants the new video game, he's like so adamant and so, I need this video game right now. But the kid is selling it for 2 times as much as a normal video game would be, or maybe even more. I couldn't remember. It was either like $120 or close to like $180 for a game that hasn't come out yet. But then again, the game's about to come out in like a few weeks. Like, the guy's like, hurry up and get me that game. The game comes out in a few weeks, you know. You're gonna pay that much for a bootlegged version or a pirated version? Why don't you just wait a few weeks and buy it at a much cheaper price? It's probably going to only be $60 versus $120 or $180 or whatever the kid is doing. It doesn't really make sense. Maybe I just misunderstood it. Maybe I kind of zoned out and there was a total different reason for it, but that's what it seemed like to me. And if that's true, it doesn't really make sense. I guess the only way it could make sense if it doesn't come out in the US and it doesn't come out in stores, but it's totally a Call of Duty ripoff. Of course something like that is going to come in stores in the US. Just wait a few weeks, man. Also, I really find it funny that the villain uses this kid's knowledge of pirating games to blackmail him. Like, he's like, if you're gonna tell on us, we're gonna tell on you that you pirate games, so I know about your deal. You're gonna get in trouble. And so it works. It's sort of brushed over at the very end of the movie. Like, it becomes a big thing. The reason why he doesn't do a specific, really important thing is because he's being blackmailed. And it's a very big point in the movie. But then when the villains do get captured, they don't rat on him. They don't tell the cops that, hey, this kid's been pirating video games. In fact, it's never mentioned whatsoever again in the movie. Instead, the kid has a happy life sort of thing. I don't know, Max is a pretty bad movie for me. I can see people liking it, thinking it's very inspirational and great and original, but really isn't. I'm gonna give Max 1.5 stars. So have you seen Max? What did you think about it? Go ahead and comment. If not, what is your favorite movie about a boy and his dog? As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.